Michelle Williams stepped onto the Actor Awards 2026 stage in Los Angeles on the night of March 1st, with applause thundering through the auditorium and camera flashes lighting up the room like lightning in a storm. But beneath the glamour and celebration, there was something far heavier hanging in the air. This was supposed to be a triumphant evening, a night dedicated to honoring artistic excellence in film and television. Yet for Michelle, and for so many in attendance, it became something far more emotional. Just weeks earlier, on February 11th, 2026, her longtime friend and former co-star, James Van Der Beek, had passed away at the age of 48 after a courageous and very public battle with stage 3 colorectal cancer. The grief was still raw, the loss still fresh, and as Michelle stood there holding her award, the spotlight felt less like a celebration and more like a moment of reckoning, a confrontation with memory, love, gratitude, and the heartbreaking reality that someone who once stood beside her in the earliest days of her career was now gone. For millions around the world, James Van Der Beek wasn't just another actor whose name scrolled through entertainment headlines. He was Dawson Leery, the earnest dreamer with a camcorder, the boy next door whose emotions spilled out in poetic monologues, the character who helped define late 90s television. Dawson's Creek wasn't simply a teen drama, it became a cultural landmark. It captured the intensity of first love, the ache of rejection, the confusion of growing up, and the fragile beauty of friendship. Viewers didn't just watch Dawson and his friends navigate adolescence, they saw their own fears, hopes, and heartbreaks reflected back at them. That connection transformed James into more than a performer. He became a symbol of vulnerability and emotional honesty during a time when television was just beginning to embrace deeper, more introspective storytelling for young audiences. And now, in the wake of his passing, that same industry that once celebrated his rise is mourning his absence while honoring the profound impact he made, both on screen and behind the scenes. When Michelle Williams accepted her award for her powerful performance in Dying for Sex, her presence was steady but deeply emotional. She didn't speak like someone delivering a rehearsed tribute. She spoke like someone carrying years of shared history in her heart. She acknowledged James not as a celebrity figure, but as a friend, someone she had grown up alongside in one of the most formative chapters of her life. She shared that she thinks about him constantly, and even more so about his wife and their 6 children. There was an intimacy in her words that transcended Hollywood formalities. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't exaggerated, it was deeply human. You could sense the decades between them, the early auditions, the long shooting days, the press tours, the laughter between takes, all condensed into a few quiet, powerful sentences that echoed through the room. Her tribute went beyond sentimentality. She spoke about James's bravery during his cancer battle and about the overwhelming wave of support that followed his passing. Fans across the globe had rallied around his family, offering donations, messages of love, and heartfelt memories. But Michelle made it clear that this support represented something deeper than sympathy. It reflected the way James had touched people's lives. By openly sharing his diagnosis in late 2024, he allowed fans into one of the most vulnerable chapters of his life. He spoke about fear, he spoke about gratitude, he spoke about slowing down and noticing the beauty in ordinary moments, the laughter of his children, the warmth of a simple family dinner, the quiet peace of a sunrise. In doing so, he shifted the narrative from tragedy to perspective, reminding people that even in illness, there can be meaning. To fully understand why Michelle's words resonated so powerfully, you have to travel back to 1998. A young Michelle Williams stepped onto the set of Dawson's Creek as Jen Lindley, the complex outsider trying to find herself in a small coastal town. Across from her stood James, barely out of his teens, carrying the weight of leading a major network series on his shoulders. Both were young, both were navigating fame for the first time. On screen, their characters shared moments of tenderness, tension, and emotional growth. Off-screen, they were simply young actors figuring out life together. Long nights memorizing scripts turned into conversations about dreams, fears, and ambitions. Press interviews became bonding experiences. They weren't just coworkers, they were part of a tight-knit cast discovering adulthood in real time. That shared foundation created friendships that didn't dissolve when the final episode aired in 2003. When James was diagnosed with colorectal cancer in 2023, that foundation of friendship remained intact. While he initially chose to keep his diagnosis private, focusing on treatment and protecting his family from media attention, he eventually decided to speak publicly about his battle. When he did, his message wasn't about self-pity, it was about awareness and appreciation. He urged people to prioritize their health. He encouraged early screenings. He talked about how facing mortality had sharpened his focus on what truly matters. He described the experience as terrifying, yes, but also clarifying, a reminder that time is precious and not guaranteed. Michelle and their former castmates stood beside him quietly during that period, offering support not for headlines, but out of genuine care. His journey became a beacon for others facing similar battles. Rather than allowing his diagnosis to define him solely as a victim, James used his platform to advocate for awareness and early detection. He shared glimpses of his treatments, spoke candidly about the emotional toll, and remained transparent about the challenges. That honesty resonated with fans who were navigating their own health struggles. Many credited him with motivating them to seek screenings or to have difficult conversations about their well-being. His openness transformed personal hardship into public service. At the Actor Awards, Michelle's tribute was only one of many heartfelt acknowledgments. Across the room, colleagues who had worked with James over the years reflected on his warmth and professionalism. Ali Larter, her co-star from Varsity Blues, spoke about his generosity on set and his ability to make everyone feel included. Others shared stories of his humor, how he could diffuse tension with a perfectly timed joke, how he carried himself without ego despite early fame. Social media became flooded with tributes from fellow actors, writers, directors, and fans who described him as approachable, thoughtful, and deeply committed to his craft. For Meredith Monroe and other Dawson's Creek alumni, the memories were personal and layered. They didn't just remember iconic scenes, they remembered shared experiences, birthday celebrations on sets, late-night script read-throughs, road trips during promotional tours. They remembered a young man who listened more than he spoke, who valued connection over celebrity. Several friends mentioned his philosophical outlook in later years, how he often reflected on gratitude, faith, and the importance of presence long before his diagnosis. That perspective only deepened during his illness. There were also whispers of future dreams. The creator of Dawson's Creek revealed that James had once discussed revisiting the world of Capeside, not for nostalgia's sake, but to explore what adulthood might look like for those beloved characters. He imagined storytelling rooted in growth and maturity, shaped by lived experience. Even while battling cancer, he was thinking creatively, envisioning stories that could reconnect with fans who had grown up alongside him. That desire to keep creating, to keep imagining, speaks volumes about his passion. Perhaps that is his most enduring legacy, the ability to transform memory into meaning. Fans aren't just rewatching episodes, they're rediscovering the emotional sincerity he brought to his performances. They're remembering how his portrayal of Dawson made it acceptable for young men to express vulnerability on screen. They're reflecting on the comfort his characters provided during uncertain teenage years. And now, in hindsight, those scenes feel even more poignant. Years from now, conversations about James Van Der Beek will extend far beyond a single role. They will center on a life marked by authenticity, humor, resilience, and devotion to family. They will remember Kimberly, his wife, and their 6 children, the foundation of his world. They will remember how he faced illness not with bitterness, but with courage. They will remember how he used his voice to amplify awareness around colorectal cancer, encouraging younger adults not to ignore warning signs. And they will remember how his final years were defined not just by struggle, but by intention and love. In the weeks since his passing, the industry and fans alike have honored him through action, charitable initiatives, tributes at award ceremonies, thoughtful essays, and heartfelt video montages. Streaming platforms have seen renewed interest in Dawson's Creek and his other projects as viewers revisit the work that first introduced them to his talent. Each rewatch becomes a quiet tribute, each shared clip a reminder that art has the power to outlive the artist. And when Michelle Williams stood there on March 1st, speaking softly yet powerfully about her friend, it was more than an acceptance speech. It was a farewell wrapped in gratitude. It was proof that the bonds formed in youth can endure through decades, through triumph and tragedy alike. Though James Van Der Beek may no longer be physically present, his influence remains in the performances he left behind, in the awareness he sparked, and in the hearts of those who grew up watching him navigate love and life on screen. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.